Vamos a jugar en el 43.
What's happening, everybody? Sit back and let's have a blast. It's the Theassassinrapper podcast, the super duper broadcast. I'll be talking about books, comics and movies. I'm feeling it already, man. This is kinda groovy. Whether you love crime fiction, scary stories or poems, all you gotta do is make the Theassassinrapper your podcast home. Hello everybody and welcome along to the second ever podcast of the Theassassinrapper podcast. Now this week I'm going to have so much to talk about. I hope you enjoyed last week's 1980s special, and before I say anything else I would just like to apologise to all the listeners out there that I am very sorry for the delay in this podcast. But at least it means you will only have to wait another short couple of days to the next podcast, which will be out on Friday. Now, there is a little change to the podcast. It will be on Fridays, a new episode, but it will not necessarily be posted at 9 o'clock. But there will be a new podcast every Friday. So I hope you're going to enjoy this podcast, the second podcast. As I said, I've got so much to talk about. Now, I went to see two movies this week, which are really, really worth checking out. The first one is The Current War. Now, The Current War is a dramatic story of the cutthroat race between electricity titans Thomas Edison and George Westinghouse to determine whose electrical system would power the modern world. The director is Alfonso Gomez Rejon, the writer is Michael Mitnick, and it stars Tom Holland, Benedict Cumberbatch, and Katrin Waterston. Now, this film was interesting because if you are a regular viewer of my videos, you would have noticed that I did a video a couple of months ago called The World's Oldest Videos. Well, in The World's Oldest Videos, I have lots of Thomas Edison films in there, from Edison Films. A lot of the world's very first films or footage that was caught was by Thomas Edison Studios. So that was an interesting element to the movie, me knowing that Thomas Edison went on to that. A person who is not familiar with the history would have just been told at the end of the movie, but I don't want to give away any spoilers. But I would recommend you go to see The Current War. It is very, very good and very entertaining, so that's my recommendation. Now, the second one is more in tune with the type of animated stories I do. It is a horror, and yes, you probably have guessed. I'll give you a big clue. It's from the same people as Hereditary. Yes, it is Midsommar. Now, Midsommar is a really, really good and interesting horror, because a lot of horror movies are set in the dark. You know, the dark, sinister atmosphere. But this whole film is practically set in the daytime, because the particular part of Sweden, anyway, it does not get dark like it does in the night usually. Florence Pugh plays Danny, who is a woman who goes to a very strange festival in Sweden. They soon learn that the festival has very strange traditions. The locals show that their practices that they pass off as just tradition become more and more disturbing. Now, the dress code is really lovely, white dresses and lovely flowers in the hair, and it looks visually stunning. Now, I did read some comments on YouTube that the most unrealistic thing is the weather is so lovely, because a person from Sweden said the weather is always very bad in the midsummer. But that's beside the point. I always look at something for entertainment, and I'm not worried about whether the weather should be hot or cold. I just want to see a good movie, and this movie is very, very good. Some people might think it is weird, some people might think it is disturbing, some people might think it's amazing, some people might think it is one of the best movies of the year, because I know a lot of people loved Hereditary, and as I said, it's from the same people that brought Hereditary. So there are two movies that I went to see this week that I would highly recommend: The Current War and Midsommar. Last week I had the 1980s special where I was talking about so many things to do with the 1980s culture, but actually one of the things that I forgot to mention were arcades. I think I'm going to dedicate a whole episode of my podcast sometime to arcades, or maybe do the evolution of gaming, starting with the arcades up. But of course gaming comes way before the arcades, but it's just that kind of genre where the arcades were booming. And even now, any place that has an arcade, I always keep saying to myself, I must go. So I'm going to actually go and try to go to all my local places that have arcade games and check them out. And I will let you know what games I played there and what I thought of them. So that's something that I'm looking forward to do, an arcade gaming special. So that will be coming in the next couple of weeks. Now, stay tuned for this week's book review. I will be giving the name in the next couple of minutes, but trust me, this book is not just good, it is absolutely brilliant. Now, I don't know, are you familiar with the book 13? It's about a lawyer, and it's about this serial killer who wangles his way onto the jury. And then there's another book by Steve Kavanagh, who is the writer, called Twisted. Well, Steve Kavanagh said on the cover of this book, I may not read a better thriller in my lifetime. So stay tuned for that. I will give the name in the next couple of minutes. Okay, everybody. Please let me know in the comment section of the video where this podcast will be posted what you think of the podcast, what you'd like to hear on the podcast, and any ideas. I would love to hear from you. This podcast is a great way to me talk about my hobbies and my passion. So what I would like to say now is, my channel is really having a lot of animated horror stories at the moment, and I know there's a lot of my viewers that love my cooking videos and love my music videos, my freestyle videos and everything else. Well, I can guarantee that there will be a lot more freestyles coming soon, there will be a lot more cooking videos coming soon, and I will be reviewing a lot of action figures, collectibles, books and lots more, as well as loads of animated horror stories. And not only animated horror stories, but I'm going to be doing different types of animated stories. So that is something to be looking forward to in the next couple of weeks and months on Theassassinrapper. Now, I want to thank everyone, of course, for helping me reach over 1,000 subscribers, and here's to the next 2,000 subscribers and 3. I will be looking forward to hit that milestone. Now, my next milestone that I'm aiming for, and hopefully I will reach it very soon, is 250,000 views. That's 250,000 views. Then I will want to hit the 500,000 views and then the 1 million views. So I want to thank everyone who has subscribed to my channel and has watched the videos, because without you I would not have this growth in my channel. So I just want to give you a big thank you, and also thanks for listening to this podcast, as that is supporting me in its own way also. Well, I was praising this book earlier, and I told you what Steve Kavanagh, the author of 13, said about it. He said, I may not read a better thriller in my lifetime. This book is called The Chain. Now, let me tell you what's written on the back. Your phone rings. A stranger has kidnapped your child. To freedom, you must abduct someone else's child. Your child will be released when your victim's parents kidnap another child. If any of these things don't happen, your child will be killed. You are now part of the chain. Before I go into the review of this book, I will just read out what other authors are saying about it, and this is just on the front and back cover. There's a lot more on the inside, and believe me, if you read these, you will really want to read the book. But I can tell you now that it is one of the best thrillers of the year. It is completely gripping from front cover to back. It says in the cover, the only way to get your child back is to kidnap another child. Val McDermott says, you'll miss meals, sleep and your stop on the bus guaranteed. Don Winslow, you will never be able to forget it. A masterpiece. As I told you already, Steve Kavanagh said, I may not read a better thriller in my lifetime. Ian Rankin said, scary, plausible, gripping. Stephen King says, incredibly propulsive and original. Dennis Lehane, diabolical, unnerving, relentless. Mark Billingham, breathtaking, breakneck, brilliant. Fiona Cummins, an electrifying thriller, one of the very best of its kind. Tana French, McKinty is one of the most striking crime voices to emerge on the scene in years. And Mick Herron says, terrifying, terrific. It is published by Orion Books, and it is by Adrian McKinty. Now, Adrian is from Northern Ireland. I'm just going to open a few pages here now. He was born in Northern Ireland. He studied philosophy at Oxford University on a full scholarship before immigrating to the United States. Now, he's the author of a dozen crime novels that have won the Edgar Award, Ned Kelly Award, Barry Award, and Anthony Award. So this guy is the real deal, Adrian McKinty. This book stands up there with 13, The Couple Next Door, Gone Girl. And speaking about Gone Girl, this book for parents is what Gone Girl was for husbands or wives, or The Girl in the Train. It is what I would love to see turned into a film, because the story is so well done. The writing is really, really good, and the storyline is absolutely amazing. It gets you, it draws you in to their life, and it draws you in to what they would do to save their children. And it is proven in why the chain continues and how the chain continues. It examines what an ordinary person would do if they had to do something like that demand, like kidnap another child to get their own child back. And it goes into why it's done. What is the chain? How did the chain start? How did it begin? What happened to the idea even exist? Now, I'm not going to give away any spoilers, but I will tell you that if you're looking for a good thriller book that will keep you up late at night reading or keep you occupied for hours, I would recommend this week's book of the week, which is The Chain by Adrian McKinty. Well, another thing that you can be looking forward to on the podcast is new music from me, because I will be going back into the studio very soon recording new music. And also, you can be looking forward to, wait for it, yes, my crime fiction book, Project Calm. I am now only about 5 or 6 pages left in the 4th draft. Now, the 4th draft is more or less the last draft, but then of course there will be editing and everything else. But I am just going to add in a bit more police procedure and other things here and there to make it more gripping and to add to the atmosphere, etc. Now, I'm really enjoying the process of writing the book, and I already have an idea for my next book, but I am really looking forward to see what the public will think of Project Calm. Project Calm is a crime fiction thriller with a tiny, tiny element of sci-fi. But this element of sci-fi is interesting because this technology, some people could think, is already here. And it could be still here. So, or what I mean, it's not still here, but it could be here right now. Some people would believe it. So I wanted to kind of write something that would not be in a dystopian world way, way far off in the distant future. I wanted to write something that would be plausible, that would or could happen today. Now, I have nothing whatsoever against the sci-fi from that is really, really far out there. I love that because sci-fi, crime fiction, horror, I love all that type of thing. But for this particular book, it is way more crime fiction than sci-fi. Well, everybody, I hope you enjoyed this week's podcast. And if you did, let me know in the comment section below. And I will see you Friday. And take care until then. See you soon. Bye.